Kitsana Jorchoi from Thailand. He goes in lane 1, and they space them out, a lane in between, to give a little bit more room, as there's 8 athletes on the track simultaneously. Sunoto from Indonesia will be in lane 3. And outside of those, Teptida Ken from Laos, our first look at one of the Laotian athletes. And then out in lane 7, we've got the Vietnamese athlete Tran Man Tung. So we can see there Sunoto just settling down. In lane 5 we've got Teptida Ken from Laos. Competitor number 184, getting set there. And of course the amount of skill required to have simultaneously a sighted athlete and a blind athlete going off and running in even time is really truly remarkable. Well, I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by one of my colleagues, Nick Atwin, here, and Nick's going to come in and join me for some of the athletics before he goes off to do his badminton for the day. Nick, welcome on board, and we've got the T11 100 metres, 3 heats of this for the blind athletes.
Thanks very much, Jamie. It's good to be here. Nice to watch these athletes performing. And I pick up on your point about the coordination. There must be an awful lot of practice that goes on between the two of them, and understanding that develops over the weeks and the months. And this is the point where it comes to fruition.
In lane 1, representing Thailand and 2010 Asian Para Games gold medalist, Kitsana Jorchoi. In lane 3, representing Indonesia, Sunoto. And in lane 7, representing Laos, Ken Teptida.
Well, there is Ken Teptida out in lane 7. Lane 5, Tran Man Tung from Vietnam. Lane 3, Sunoto. And probably the favourite from this heat, Kitsana Jorchoi from Thailand. He's running on the inside. As always, extremely nervous moments just before the start, especially for the 100 metres, Nick. It can all go wrong in the first second, yes?
Well, that's right. It's the quickest of the races. Anything could happen. I wonder how used to this particular track they are, although of course they're all experienced, they know about the feel of the track and so on. But if you're a little bit too nervous, this is a big day, the Para Games is on, if you're just that little bit nervous and you mess up on the start, then it makes life very difficult.
Well, certainly the two runners in the outside lanes, very young. In lane 5, Tran Man Tung is only 20 years of age. And the runner from Laos in lane 7, Ken Teptida, was only 16 last week. He's a real novice at this, but great experience for him.
What a birthday present coming to Singapore for the Para Games.
Absolutely. And you'll notice that the athletes have to wear a blindfold as well. This is because the classification is completely blind, no vision at all. And sometimes they have just a little bit of peripheral vision, and so they have to wear the blindfold to ensure a fair playing field. And that's a nice moment, a little shake of hands. Ken Teptida with his guide. Must be such a level of trust between the two of them as well. I don't think I'd like to run with you, Nick, holding my hand like that.
I wouldn't offer it anyway. No, I mean, these guys, they have an understanding. I just hope that they don't have to wait too long, because the tension must clearly be building up. They'll be talking, chatting to each other, I guess, keeping their aspirations very high.
Well, as we've seen all morning, the stadium has to be absolutely right, everything in place. The athletes, of course, always their inclination is to get ready too early. The nerves, the tension, the adrenaline, everything comes too quickly, and they just need to settle down. They need to calm, relax, The start so important in all sprint events. And obviously this is by far the most experienced of the athletes. He's in his prime, Kitsana Jorchoi, 29 years of age. It's probably his moment. I fancy he's going to be the winner here, but in athletics there's no givens. So just a reminder of the lineup. Lane 1, Kitsana Jorchoi. Lane 3, Sunoto from Indonesia. Lane 5, Tran Man Tung from Vietnam. And in lane 7, Ken Teptida from Laos.
I can think of one other factor that might be affecting them now, and that is they'll be very sensitive to sounds, and they don't want distractions. They've got to be purely focused on a sound that they can recognize, and the longer they wait, I feel sorry for them really, the longer they wait, the more the tension builds.
Absolutely. And you've got to admire the guys who act as their guides as well, who have to do all that training, all the work with them, and they don't even get a mention. I don't even know their names, but they're kind of unsung heroes of this. It must be a glorious kinship between two athletes performing like this together.
And I'm sure they feel a huge responsibility too, because they can't mess up, they can't trip over their partner. It's truly teamwork. It's like a marriage almost.
That's asking for trouble, Nick, describing it as being like a marriage, but I know what you mean. Hopefully it's a good marriage. But this is agony, isn't it, standing there for so long. You notice that they don't actually use blocks for the start. I think that would be too complicated with the guide as well. It's nice to see some of the schools have turned out to support the athletes. If you get a chance, you should come down to the stadium. Magnificent stadium, and it's a magnificent event, the 8th running of the Para Games in the ASEAN region. It's an event that's just growing each time it's held. It's about every 2 years. It's slightly longer sometimes, slightly shorter, but has more athletes, more events, and these parallel games all around the world are growing in popularity. Just a closer look at the Vietnamese competitor there, Tran Man Tung. He's decided that he's not going to stand around any longer. Looks very relaxed, leg crossed, arms folded. But his heart probably up at about 130, 140 at least at the moment.
Yes, he's staying cool for sure. At least he's trying to give that impression to the fans who are coming in, which is very nice to see. You know, walking around some of the facilities yesterday, I'm sure it's been a big eye-opener for our foreign visitors. Everything's so well laid out, and to use this Sports Hub Stadium as well will be a real treat for all the athletes.
Well, still they wait for the start of heat number 1. Of course, we suspect that heats 2 and 3 won't have such a gap in between. Once the heats start, they tend to flow. We've got these 3 heats, and then we've got the prize presentations for the winners of the 800 metres events. The ladies in the T53-54 category, and the men in the T52-53 category, the wheelchair athletes. And certainly we had a great performance in the men's event. A remarkable effort from Peo Pongsakorn. And the women's, well, what a great race that was. Couldn't have been closer. Once again, the camera lingering on Sunoto, the Indonesian competitor. I think it's quite likely that the race in this event might be between 1 and 3. Stadium announcer asking for quiet, which, as Nick pointed out, is so important for blind athletes. Sound is of paramount importance. That nervous wait for the gun. Finally, the agony of waiting is over.
Well, it's interesting to see the protocol here and how carefully they have to set everything up, make sure fingers are behind the lines, checking very, very stringent.
I think for all of us, Nick, the thought of running at full tilt without being able to see where you're going is a terrifying prospect. These guys are all set to go. Lane 1, Kitsana. Lane 3, Sunoto. Lane 5, Tran. Lane 7, Ken Teptida. And off they go. And indeed it is lane 1 that's going. Kitsana Jorchoi is off to a good start, but Sunoto coming strong in lane 3. And it's a good race between Kitsana and Sunoto. And it's just held on the line. Kitsana Jorchoi from Sunoto, but what a good run in lane 5 from Tran Mantung, who came very close to splitting the pre-race favourites. And in fourth place, the youngster Ken Teptida, here for the experience, but a great run from the favourite Kitsana Jorchoi, but pushed all the way by Sunoto.
And a great time too, cutting underneath 12 seconds. A little bit of a bump early on I saw, but I think after that they were just coordinated so well, particularly in lane 1.
Well, all the waiting is over. And Kitsana Jorchoi, he'd be pleased with finishing first in the race, but Sunoto, a doughty competitor as well, pushed him all the way.
You can just imagine now a sense of relief that they've got through, they've done it, they're underway, they've broken the ice, so to speak. Now they can relax and get on with the other races. Here we go again.
Here we go again, and the pickup very good. There's some disorganisation from the Lao runner. In fact, they've lost contact, haven't they? There, the string came off, so everything went wrong for poor Ken Teptida. He was actually running without an assistant for a while there.